Hi, sweeties. If this is your first time joining me, hi, how are you? I'm Dee. It's nice to meet you. And if you're coming back, welcome back. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me. So usually on this channel, I make ASMR videos. Clearly, this isn't an ASMR video. I'm not whispering. I'm not speaking softly. Today, this is gonna be a slightly embarrassing and long video, but I have a lot of books. This isn't exactly a haul because I didn't just buy all of these. I've bought all of these over the course of like the last year, but they're all books that I haven't read yet. So I thought it might be fun to just talk about all of them and why I'm excited to read them, because I love hearing other people talk about books. I've recently gotten into like a booktube, and I just think it's fun. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna talk about all these books. I have these two stacks and then another stack over here. I counted, it's 26 books. So we're gonna talk about 26 books, and maybe you'll find something you're interested in too. So let's get started. So first up, we have Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. Probably butchered that, I'm really sorry. But this book kind of blew up on TikTok last year. It's a horror book. I've heard really disturbing things about it. Not specific things, but just that it is disturbing. I'll read a little bit of the description. His wife has left him, his father is sinking into dementia, and Marcos tries not to think too hard about how he makes a living. After all, it happened so quickly. First, it was reported that an infectious virus has made all animal meat poisonous to humans. Then governments initiated the transition. Now eating human meat, special meat, is legal. Marcos tries to stick to numbers, consignments, processing. So, yes, so this takes place in a universe where regular meat is no longer edible and people turn to eating humans. So I've heard that the imagery in this is really fucked up. I've heard that the ending is really like shocking. So I've been really excited to read this and I just haven't yet. So I'm gonna get to it after I read the book I'm currently reading. I think I'm gonna read this next because I want to be horrified and I think this will horrify me. Next up, we have Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sands. This is an older book that I just never got to, so I'll read a little bit of the back again. Dante can swim, Ari can't. Dante is articulate and self-assured. Ari has a hard time with words and suffers from self-doubt. Dante gets lost in poetry and art. Ari gets lost in thoughts of his older brother who is in prison. Dante is fair-skinned. Ari's features are much darker. It seems that a boy like Dante, with his open and unique perspective on life, would be the last person to break down the walls that Ari has built around himself. So, I actually don't know that much about this book, other than that I've heard it's really good and like a little queer. It has the Stonewall Book Award, so, you know, I'm into that. But yeah, I love a good, like, coming-of-age, like, LGBT kind of thing. So I'm excited to read this. I forget what year it came out, but I've been hearing about this book forever. So I am excited to read it. I'm excited that I have it. Yeah, so there's that one. As you can already tell, this is going to be quite a variety of books. I have a lot of different interests. So this one is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Yeah, Emily Henry. This is a romance. I'll read a little bit of the back. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. So I've heard about this. These two, they like swap writing styles, I think, as like a challenge to each other, because they're both kind of stuck in their novels. So, yeah, I've been excited to read this. My friend Delaney, who is very bookish, she reads way more than I do. She likes this, so I trust her opinion. My thing, I have all of these books because I love reading, but I also don't read enough to justify buying all of these. But yeah, so this is another one that I've been really looking forward to. Another one that has kind of gone around TikTok. And yeah, I think it seems cute. I'm excited to read it. Next up, we have another kind of horror recommendation that I also got from TikTok. This is Unwind by Neil Shusterman. And this came recommended kind of as a, like YA Tender is the Flesh. So, the Second Civil War was fought over reproductive rights. The chilling resolution: life is inviolable from the moment of conception until age 13. Between the ages of 13 and 18, however, parents can have their children unwound, whereby all of the child's organs are transplanted into different donors, so life doesn't technically end. So that sounds horrifying, and I'm all for it. I got this one forever ago, and I don't know why I haven't read it. So maybe I'll read Tender is the Flesh and then give this one a go, but yeah, so I'll do these two together since they're same series, same author. This is Act Your Age, Eve Brown, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. The first one in this little trilogy is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and they're all romances. And I thought Get a Life, Chloe Brown was really sweet. So I'm excited to read these. The one thing I'm disappointed about is that Danny was described, I think she's bisexual. So like I'm a little sad that in all three of these books, the one that had potential to be queer isn't. But hey, you know, we'll see what happens. This one is technically second and this one is third. I'm not sure if stuff from this book will carry over into this book, but I'm just gonna read them in the order they came out. So yeah, I'm really excited. I liked, like I said before, I liked Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I thought it was really cute and sweet. I liked the way their relationship was written. I don't love miscommunication tropes, but like, how can you avoid them in romance novels? Especially if they're just like modern day, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I am excited to read these. This one, I don't remember where I heard about it. It must have been TikTok, but this is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. My brother got this for me as a gift and also got me the sequel, which is Muse of Nightmares. So the back of Strange the Dreamer says, Laszlo Strange, war orphan and junior librarian, has been obsessed with the mythic lost city of Weep for as long as he can remember. But it would take someone bolder than he to cross half the world in search of it. Then a stunning opportunity presents itself in the person of a hero called the Godslayer and a band of legendary warriors, and he has to seize his chance or lose his dream forever. I'm not going to read the back of this one in case it spoils anything in this one. But yeah, I don't know. Sounds cool, man. Like, I'm down. So yeah, it sounds like kind of a fantasy. Fantasies are intimidating to me, but I think they're fun, and I just read the 5th season, which is the first book in a trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and I really loved it. It was kind of a lot to get into, and it has like a glossary in the back explaining what some of the words mean, which was very helpful. But I loved that, so I'm excited to finish that trilogy, and excited to try out other kind of fantasies, so that's these ones. This was also a gift from my brother. He gave it to me with those other two. This is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I love mythology, and I feel like Greek mythology is, you know, it's the most popular because I think it's the most approachable, even though that shouldn't even be true. All mythology is mythology. So I really want to, you know, learn about other kinds of mythology from other places. So this is a young woman and a Mayan death god embark on a life-changing journey in this one-of-a-kind fairy tale inspired by Mexican folklore. And it takes place in the 20s. And there's jazz. And it sounds great. I'm really excited to read this one. And a journey into the Mayan underworld. Like, come on. I also just watched Maya and the Three, which is about Mayan gods and stuff. It was a very good show. I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. But yeah, this is another one I'm excited for. I keep saying that, but I mean, how else can I feel about these books? I haven't read them. Next, we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is another one that I've heard good things about. It's like, I think people have trouble like describing it, so I don't know that much about it other than that I'm interested. So The Night Circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. Within the black and white striped canvas tents is an utterly unique experience full of breathtaking amazements. It is called Cirque des Rêves, and it is only open at night. And it's about two young magicians kind of competing to be the best, but it's a romance, so presumably this is like a rivals to lovers kind of thing. But I just love, I mean, the aesthetic is cool. It reminds me of a Vocaloid song that I used to listen to when I was younger. And yeah, I just think I've heard good things and it looks neat, and yeah, what more can you say? It looks cool. So that's stack 1 done. Let's move on to this stack. This is The Whisper Man by Alex North. This is another horror book. I had taken this off of my list. I have this whole long list of books that I want to read on my phone, and I had taken this off of my list, but it was really cheap. I saw it at a grocery store for really cheap, so I just picked it up. And then the lady didn't even charge me for it. I like handed it to her, I put it down the conveyor belt, and she didn't scan it. She just handed it back to us. So I didn't steal it. She forgot to charge us for it, and I didn't go back. So it's fate, right? It's fate. So this says, after the sudden death of his wife, Tom Kennedy believes a fresh start will help him and his young son Jake heal. A new beginning, a new house, a new town, Featherbank. But the town has a dark past. 20 years ago, a serial killer abducted and murdered 5 residents. Until Frank Carter was finally caught, he was nicknamed the Whisper Man, for he would lure his victims out by whispering at their windows at night. So they go to this town, they move to this town, and the killing kind of picks up again, I believe. So yeah, look how little it is. I mean, it's kind of thick, but small. Yeah, it's another one I'm excited to read. I read one horror book that was recommended by TikTok, and it didn't scare me enough. So now I'm just like on the search for books that will actually scare me. So maybe that'll be this one. Next up, we have Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. If you don't know, I love The Song of Achilles. The Song of Achilles is my favorite book. It's by Madeline Miller. Her writing is amazing. She also wrote a book called Circe that I highly recommend. I have a Song of Achilles tattoo. I'm a mess. But anyway, this is also a retelling of like the Iliad, the Trojan War, from the perspective of Briseis, who was a prisoner on Achilles' camp, a captive. And in the Song of Achilles, she kind of becomes a friend, at least to Patroclus. But I actually just watched a video where someone put this in their top books of 2021 and was saying that this is much different from that, and Briseis is seen as much more of like a captive. But yeah, I'm really interested in hearing this story told from another perspective. So yeah, that's Silence of the Girls. I just realized I didn't read the back of Silence of the Girls. I'm sorry, but I think I got it across. Next up, we have For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. This is like a Little Red Riding Hood kind of fantasy retelling. This says, as the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wilder wood, and in the hope he'll return the world's captured gods. Ooh. So turns out she goes in there, the wolf is just a guy. So I'm not exactly sure what happens, but I thought the cover looked neat, and I think a Red Riding Hood retelling might be cool. You might have noticed all of these buy one get one 50% off stickers. I went to Barnes & Noble one day and just bought a bunch of books because they were buy one get one 50% off. So this was one of those kind of like, sure, I need another one to get the 50% off, so I'll pick it up. But I've heard good things about it, so yeah. This is another one that I kind of just picked up. This is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. And this says, raised to be a warrior, 17-year-old Elin fights alongside her Aska clansmen in an ancient rivalry against the Riki clan. Her life is brutal but simple, fight and survive, until the day she sees the impossible on the battlefield. Her brother fighting with the enemy, the brother she watched die 5 years ago. So, seems cool. I literally had never heard of this. But I think someone at Barnes & Noble said that it was kind of cool. She was like, oh, if you like the Song of Achilles, maybe you'll enjoy something like this. So yeah, this is one that I'm not like super stoked on, super hyped on or anything like that, but it seems interesting, so yeah. This is one that I did not buy. I borrowed this from my brother. This is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. It has a blurb from Madeline Miller on the back, so, you know, love her. This says, Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls are lined with thousands upon thousands of statues, each one different from all the others. Within the labyrinth of halls, an ocean is imprisoned. Waves thunder up staircases, rooms are flooded in an instant. But Piranesi is not afraid. He understands the tides as he understands the pattern of the labyrinth itself. He lives to explore the house. So this, it also has a blurb from Erin Morgenstern. Look at that. So everyone, the blurbs on the back say that it is a mystery. I like a cool mystery. And it's kind of myth-based. So, you know, of course I'm gonna read it because, as I've said before, I like mythology. So yeah, I've been wanting to give this one a go, and my brother said, I read it, you can take it. So, there we go. This is another one I picked up a while ago. This is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Goranchek. This came recommended to me also from my friend Delaney. And this one is Norse mythology, which I'm really excited about because my family is from Norway. Ooh, that's a name. Angrboda's story begins where most witches' tales end, with a burning, a punishment from Odin for refusing to provide him with the knowledge of the future. The fire leaves Angrboda injured and powerless, and she flees to the farthest reaches of a remote forest. There she is found by a man who reveals himself to be Loki, and her initial distrust of him transforms into a deep and abiding love. So that seems cool. In Circe, there are chapters where Circe is visited by Hermes, and their relationship is kind of like, he just kind of goofs on her, and like, she matches his wit, and that's their relationship. And my friend Delaney said that if I liked that, then I would like this whole book, because that's kind of their whole relationship. So yeah, this is another one I got forever ago and then never read, but I'm really excited to read this one. Maybe I'll read Tender is the Flesh and then read this one, and then read Unwind, so there's like a break between. But yeah, so that's The Witch's Heart. This is one I am absolutely stoked on. This is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. Also, if you know me, you know I love The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is like my favorite YA series. I could read it 1,000,000 times and watch the movies 1,000,000 times. And this sounds like The Hunger Games, kind of. So, Every generation, at the coming of the blood moon, 7 families in the remote city of Ilvernath each name a champion to compete in a secret tournament to the death. The prize, exclusive control over a secret wellspring of high magic, the most powerful resource in the world, one thought long depleted. But then the world finds out about their competition, and then people are interested in it, so now they're in the spotlight, and everyone, I think it turns into like a televised thing. So that's very exciting to me, that it's like another like young people fight to the death kind of story, which sounds fucked up, but I liked the Hunger Games and this sounds similar, so I'm really excited about this one. This one I got off of Thrift Books, the website, because I had a $5 reward. So this is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. This is another kind of horror thriller kind of book. The back doesn't say much. It says, every morning, Melanie waits in her cell to be collected for class. When they come for her, Sergeant Parks keeps his gun pointing at her while 2 of his people strap her into the wheelchair. She thinks they don't like her. She jokes that she won't bite, but they don't laugh. So I think this is like kids that have like special abilities that are kept captive. And I find that fairly interesting. So I got it because it was $5 and I had a reward, like I said. So, you know, this is another one like, oh god, I don't even remember what it was called. In the Sky in the Deep. This is another one like that where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I have it. I'll read it at some point. So this one is truly a test of my interest in mythology. This is the Odyssey by Homer. The translation is by Emily Wilson. And this came recommended in an interview with Madeline Miller. So if Madeline Miller likes it, I'm hoping I will. I am just interested in seeing more of this kind of thing. That's a weird way to describe it. This is like, you know, this is the Odyssey. But the most I know about the Odyssey is what I read in Circe, which isn't much because that's told from Circe's perspective. So I just think it would be really cool to read the whole thing. And I've heard this is really approachable, this translation. And yeah, if Madeline Miller likes it, then maybe I will. We'll see. This one is another book about mythology that I actually just picked up at a used bookstore that my fiance and I found in our town that we hadn't seen before, and it was amazing, and I really want to go back. This is Myths to Live By Joseph Campbell. And the back says, what is a properly functioning mythology, and what are its functions? Can we use myths to help relieve our modern anxiety, or do they foster it? In Myths to Live By, Joseph Campbell explores the enduring power of the universal myths that influence our lives daily and examines the myth-making process from the primitive past to the immediate present, returning always to the source from which all mythology springs, the creative imagination. So I'm pretty sure this is nonfiction, clearly. And I don't read a lot of nonfiction, but I figure a book about myths is a good place to start since I love myths. And this is a topic that I'm very interested in. I think it's really interesting that there's kind of been like this boom in especially Greek myth retellings lately. So I think reading a book like this, talking about why myths kind of stick around and are so important to storytelling, I think this will be really interesting to me. You can see the stack reforming over here because I'm taking books from over here and putting them over there. This is another one I picked up at this used bookstore. This is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. And I heard about Haruki Murakami from a booktube YouTuber. I think her name is Emily. But yeah, so this says, Kafka on the Shore is powered by two remarkable characters. A teenage boy, Kafka Tamura, who runs away from home, either to escape a gruesome Oedipal prophecy or to search for his long-missing mother and sister, and an aging simpleton called Nakata, who never recovered from a wartime affliction and is now drawn toward Kafka for reasons he cannot fathom. So she kind of describes his books as, like, strange, and the review on the back says an insistently metaphysical mind bender. So sounds weird, and I'm down for it. So that's Kafka on the Shore. Next is one I'm a little nervous about. This is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and I read his book The Silent Patient and really enjoyed it, so I thought I would pick up this one, which is kind of another mystery thriller, which is what The Silent Patient was. But lately I've heard not great things about it. I think it was even on that Emily girl's worst books of 2021. So maybe I'll hate it, but maybe it'll be fun to read. We'll find out. Let me read you. Edward Fosca is a murderer. Of this, Mariana is certain. But Fosca is untouchable. A handsome and charismatic Greek tragedy professor at Cambridge University, Fosca is adored by staff and students alike, particularly by the members of a secret society of female students known as the Maidens. I don't know. If it's trashy, then it's trashy, and I hope that I still enjoy it. So we'll see what happens with this one. This is another Murakami book that I picked up at the used bookstore. This is Hardboiled Wonderland at the End of the World. I don't know anything about this one. This says, hyperkinetic and relentlessly inventive, Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World is Haruki Murakami's deep dive into the very nature of consciousness. So, I mean, again, sounds weird, sounds kind of crazy. I'm down for it. This might be one, to pick up after an especially light read, you know what I mean? But yeah, another one I'm excited to get into. Surprise! It's another Trojan War retelling, 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. This also comes recommended by Madeline Miller. So the back of this one says, from the Trojan women whose fates now lie in the hands of the Greeks to the Amazon princess who fought Achilles on their behalf, from Penelope awaiting the return of Odysseus to the three goddesses whose feud started it all. These are stories of the women whose lives, loves, and rivalries are indelibly imprinted on history's most infamous war. So, whereas Silence of the Girls is just from Brise's perspective, this one is told from the perspective of a bunch of different women in the Trojan War, and I think that's super cool. And the cover is really pretty. Who doesn't love orange and blue? What a stunning combo. Anyway, yeah, this is just another one I'm excited for. I love retellings. I love mythological retellings. So that's 1,000 Ships. We're almost done. We have 3 more. This one was a Christmas gift from my fiance. This is The River Has Teeth by Erica Waters. I believe this one is gay. Natasha's sister is missing. Her car was found abandoned on the edge of a local nature preserve known as The Bend. But as the case goes cold, Natasha's loss turns to burning anger. Yeah. And there's magic. It looks like Natasha and this character Della team up. So I think that's where the gay comes in. But yeah. This review on the back says a captivating story of love, grief, and the power of anger. That sounds amazing. Female anger is great. But yeah, this one was on my list for a while. This is another one with a really cool cover. Yeah, there's not much else I can say about it other than I look forward to reading it. So this next one is very funny. So my fiance got this for me off of Thrift Books, off of the Thrift Books website. And when you buy things from the Thrift Books website, I think it's kind of unclear what you're gonna get. So this is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Schabotsky. And as you can see, it's huge. It's not because it's like a super long book, it's because the one we got sent is the large print edition. So the words on the page are huge. And it was also from a library, withdrawn from the Johnson County Library. I think that's so cool that I just now have this giant copy of Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. So, this says, single mother Kate Reese is on the run. Determined to improve life for herself and her son Christopher, she flees an abusive relationship in the middle of the night with her child. Together they find themselves drawn to the tight-knit community of Mill Grove, Pennsylvania. It's as far off the beaten track as they can get. Just one highway in, one highway out. And then Christopher goes missing, and when he comes back, he hears a voice in his head. No one else can hear this voice. So, yeah, this had been on my list, and my fiance got it for me, and we got a really silly copy of it. And last but certainly not least, I mentioned this author before. This is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Like I said, I read the 5th season, which is the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy, and I'm excited to finish that. I have the other 2 books to read. But this came recommended from Peruse Project on YouTube. I believe her name is Reagan. Yeah, so this one, every great city has a soul. Some are ancient as myths, others are as new and destructive as children. New York, she's got 6, and all 6 will be called to arms in the greatest battle the city has ever fought. So each borough in New York City is like a person. And I think that's really cool. It reminds me of Hitalia a little bit, and if you don't know what that is, it's this really terrible anime where every country is like a hot man. Or, not always hot, but yeah, so I'm excited to read this, even if it does remind me of Hitalia. Because I love N.K. Jemisin's writing. I think she's really talented. Each one of the Broken Earth trilogy books won a Hugo Award. That's amazing. So I'm really excited for this one. And that is all 25 books. 26. I'm currently in the middle of reading When the Moon Was Ours. I forget the author's name. I didn't bring it in here with me. I'm enjoying it. The writing is really kind of like flowery. It's interesting. It's got like magical realism going on, which is something else that I'm really into. But yeah, so this is my giant collection of books. Hopefully I'll read them all within the next year. I can read pretty quickly if I'm like really into something, but if I'm not really into something, it takes me a long time to read it. So with all of these books, maybe I should really get on it. But yeah, this was fun. If you have any books to recommend to me, drop them in the comments and I will add them to my library, or at least add them to my list. But yeah, I hope you have a great day or evening whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then.